D&D Beyond just posted a mid-year update with an updated roadmap for the rest of the year, including things like DM scene prep in maps, being able to custom upload images onto tokens, eventually adding DM tools outside of maps, and completely revamping the site search function. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around and we'll discuss it. All right, so here's the article. They have a video going over it, and you can watch that video yourself if you would like to, but I'm going to be going over most of what they say in the video, and I'm going to give you my opinions on them and how I feel about it, and I'll probably end up telling you a bit more information in the video because I'll be reading the article. So first of all, they talk about how they're going to provide more information on things they announced at Gen Con, because if you guys watched the announcements at Gen Con, the only thing they mentioned for D&D Beyond, at least in the announcement that I saw, was a mobile app update, which is cool and all, but they didn't give us any updates on the stuff they were already promised to be working on. And I even was talking in the D&D Beyond Discord about how I was confused by that. And I got some responses that there's going to be some news soon, and here it is. So that's awesome. And I actually use maps for my games when I DM. So if you don't use maps and you're already a D&D Beyond user, I highly recommend checking it out. And we're going to go over some of the new features they added or are planning to add. So first of all, they have this scene prep feature that they're planning to add very soon, they said. And I'm actually really excited about this. It's super cool because what it essentially looks like in this little preview image is you can set locations on your battle map, and then there can be little journal entries of what happens. I can't pause this because this is just a GIF, but like you can see there's like, oh, this entrance has a DC 10 perception check to notice something about it, like information like that. I think this is really, really nice to just be in maps. And also they talked about how they're going to include this in like the D&D Beyond drops quick play maps, which essentially is they prep a map for you that you can just jump into. And they even said possibly in adventures, like adventure books that they add when you buy the digital version. So that's super cool. Big fan of this. Yesterday, I released my new Paladin subclass, the Oath of the Veil Paladin, with the ability to Divine Smite and add the exhaustion condition onto enemies, as well as cast the sleep spell as a bonus action. The Oath of the Veil Paladin is super thematic and effective, and highly recommend you check it out. Also, last month I came out with the Black Scale Ranger, a swamp themed acid focused ranger that lowers enemies' ACs and replace one of its attacks with casting Acid Splash, and with its feature Bog Magic can use favored enemy uses to cast some of its spells as a bonus action. So yeah, if either of those are interesting to you, go ahead and check it out on my Patreon. Let's get back to it. This is a feature that I'm surprised they didn't have initially, and it's really great to have it. Previously, if you wanted to update the image on a token, especially for like monsters, you would have to make a homebrew monster and add a custom image. And I actually did that a few times, and it was really a big hassle. And this just makes it way easier. You can just, it seems, pull an image from your computer and just tack it on there. They even mentioned in the video that it'll be great to use on like a doppelganger. You can change it to a normal looking person. And then also, if you want to have a bar full of commoners, they won't all have the same image because you can put little custom ones. They don't have a GIF for this, but they also plan to do this for all other images within D&D Beyond maps. For example, stickers, you can do custom images they're planning on doing, and all sorts of stuff like that. So you can basically put whatever you want on the map. Then they talk about DM tools outside of maps, and I think I understand what they're meaning by this. So if we go into maps right here, if you look here, even though I'm on my DM profile right now, I'm able to pull up all my players' character sheets, and I can even like custom do things. So like I can even roll for them. This is great for like if someone's in the bathroom, or like, you know, I need to look at their stats or their HP. Now I've been able to do this in maps for I think at least a month or so. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to add these sort of features outside of maps. So if you're using like a physical board, you can still access this on D&D Beyond, which I think is super convenient and awesome. So that's my assumption of what they're referring to. They also have stuff like notes where you can write DM notes in maps, and they're adding a feature where players can have player notes. So I'm assuming adding that function as well outside of maps. And this GIF isn't really useful to me as someone who isn't a developer of any kind, but I guess they're showing us the new game platform and rules engine that will facilitate the new way that like the character sheets work, I assume, and most likely the character builder as well. Last year, we set out to build what we want to become the most powerful data-driven rules engine and game data platform for tabletop role-playing games. Instead of hard coding rules separately into every experience, that's like it is now, we defined game elements like classes, feats, items, prerequisites, and effects, and reusable, compostable data, allowing us to model and create entirely new mechanics that work across D&D Beyond. So they're essentially using a video game engine on D&D Beyond to do certain things. And one thing they actually mentioned in the video, which they talked about very briefly, but I'll kind of try to interpret what they're meaning. So one of the things they mentioned is adding a feature where you can, like, for example, have a chest on the map like I have here. This is just a cosmetic sticker, so it has no function besides looking like a chest. They talked about making it so you could mark this as a container and then put items in it, and then a player could, for example, make a certain check, and then they gain access to the chest, and then they can just, without you having to tell them, they can just transfer the items straight to their character sheet. And I think that's so cool. Speeds up gameplay and just makes the whole gameplay experience a lot smoother if you're playing online. So yeah, that's super exciting. And then this is honestly one of the most important changes to the website that I'm so excited to finally gain access to when they release it. Revamped site search. Oh my goodness. So if you look here, you can set the rule set that you want to look up, 5.5e or 5e. This is so helpful because there's so many times I'm trying to look up a spell and it takes me to the legacy version automatically because that's like the most searched one because it's older. When I want to find the updated rules version of that rule, and you can pick like official or partner content or all of them, and it looks like there's going to be various categories. Also in the development video, they mentioned stuff like if you like misspell something, it'll be smart enough to be able to detect that you misspelled something and autocorrect, kind of like how Google does currently. So that's super cool. And then they have some stuff about D&D Beyond drops, and this is something I mentioned earlier where they're talking about adding the scene prep feature to the drop-in encounters. So yeah, that's basically all that is. And then they mentioned the D&D group finder, and they already talked about that in the announcement at Gen Con. Basically, they're talking about how the Start Playing Games collaboration is going and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're also having some sort of sale where on Start Playing for a limited time, you can schedule a D&D game with a professional dungeon master on Start Playing for just $1. So that's cool. But what I wanted to get into here at the end is the new roadmap. They get into more details on what's going to be released when and when we can expect certain things. This Character Builder 2.0 was the big thing I was hoping to get this year. I understand that things like this can sometimes take longer than expected, especially because they're essentially revamping the whole website. But they did announce that this was going to happen within the year, and I'm thinking maybe not so much now. In this section, they talk about basically how it's really complicated. These are the things we want to do. And then when they talk about the new play experience, which I assume is talking about the character builder and all that sort of things, it says likely early 2027. So yeah, it looks like it's being delayed. It says the first release is coming as soon as possible, early 2027, and it's focused on making in-person play simpler and more approachable. Later in 2027, it will grow to support more characters, more content, and more ways to play. And they keep talking about the mobile app, but I'm hoping all the mobile app functions will be on PC, like on the website, sooner than the app, because I would much prefer to use it on the computer than on the app. The app looks really cool and all, but yeah, most people I play with, they bring their laptops. Or if you're playing online, then you're obviously on a computer since you're playing online. Anyway though, so in active development, they have the DM prep scenes, the non-VTT DM tools, site search improvement, game platform platform, multi-phase rebuild of the engine powering the D&D Beyond toolset. Yeah, supporting new content and tools features and improving stability. Yeah, this and the character builder, yeah, both things I really want soon. Building off the character quick builder, a full next generation character creation tool to support future features and content. Nice. And then the custom stickers. And then these are the things that they want to work on later, but aren't currently working on. DM prep bookmarks, add bookmarks to stickers and reveals for easy access right when you need them. So yeah, this is going to be a later thing. Campaign creation and management, a new workflow lets DMs set what campaign they're running, dictate guidelines on what content can be used in their campaigns, and prep and preset defaults based on those decisions. So yes, they also talked about this in the video. This is essentially being able to say, hey, you can't use Grim Hollow content, but you can use Valda's Spire Secrets content, etc. Or you can't use Eberron content, but you can use, whatever else books that you can approve of, like the Ravenloft books. And then they talk about the mobile player tool, which is not yet in development, but I guess what they mean is it's going to come later, because obviously it is in development because we've seen a preview of it. But yeah, I think they're just trying to mean like, we're not currently, that's not our priority right now. And yeah, they already have the character builder. Apparently the new navigation is already up. We'll check that out here in a second. Yeah, they did the new homepage and all that stuff. Yeah, we already know about all this basically. I don't think they have the new search function. I don't know what they mean by that. I think they're referring to this stuff, which is cool. Oh, also, as of yesterday, they added the bloodied condition and dead tokens to D&D Beyond, which I'm super happy about. This is the condition tracker, by the way, if you haven't seen it. They added this a while ago. What I'm curious about, will I as the DM be able to see that the character is bloodied? Okay, so I as a DM won't be able to see when a character is bloodied. But yeah, there's the bloodied icon on the monsters now, so that's super cool. They have stuff like immunities right there now too. You can change the size of creatures, which is super cool. Here's some of the cool journal tools, by the way. There's Quick Jot, and there's like the campaign journal where you can write stuff down for certain sessions and everything. Yeah, super cool. So yeah, that's the changes. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed anything, and thank you guys for watching. Peace out.